welcome everyone. How's everyone doing today?
Great.
Excellent. On a scale of 1 to 10 fingers, or as my 2-year-old says, 1 to 10 fingies, how are we doing energy-wise? Just give me a show. How are we doing? I see some jazz hands. I see a lot of not hands, so I'll take that as a 0. So welcome. I'm glad you've chosen this session. This is going to be interactive. To do a session on improvisation that is not interactive, I would lose my improv license. And after this session, you're all going to be deputized improvisers. So this is a little forewarning. I'm going to give a little intro. I'm going to explain who I am, but this will be interactive. If that scares you, if that makes you nervous, if that makes you want to run out the back of the room, good. I'm glad you're here. That's the right feeling. No one's going to get hurt. No one's going to get embarrassed, but we will move around a little bit, because I do find that spending a day inside a windowless series of conference rooms can be a little draining. So hopefully we'll enter our lunch break with a little bit of extra energy. And folks who are coming, come grab a seat. There's front row seats. I promise you I won't pick on you if you're in the front row. So welcome, grab a seat. If you have an empty seat next to you, make a friend, move over. We're all going to have a great session today. And hello to the folks online. All right, we got more people. Excellent. Come on in. Come on in. I love it. Yeah, you're right in front. This is great. So today's session is called Think Fast, How Improvisation Can Enhance HR Decision Making. My name is Dave Collins. I'm the founder and CEO of Oak & Reeds. It's a corporate training and keynote speaking business I founded 10 years ago. And the reason I named my business Oak & Reeds, there's 2 reasons. One is it's the name of an Aesop's fable that I found to be really compelling. And I'm going to tell that story in just a moment. But quick show of hands. Who here is familiar with Aesop's fables? Yeah, someone who's heard of this. What's a famous Aesop's fable we've all heard of? You almost had it. Yeah. What's an Aesop's? What was it? Enron. Say it again? Enron. Enron? Maybe? Yeah, what are some other Aesop's fables we know? It's like Little Red Riding Hood one. Little Red Riding Hood, I think that's Grimm. Okay. Tortoise and the Hare, bingo. Yeah, so there are these old stories that have a moral or a lesson to them. And the second reason that I named my business Oak & Reeds is the URL was available. Which is why probably none of you knew the story of the Oak and the Reeds. It's a little bit on the Aesop's fables B-sides. Not as well played. The 30-second version of the Oak and the Reeds goes like this, and it's relevant to what we're here to talk about in this session. There was a big, tall oak tree standing by the side of a river, and the oak tree was talking to some reeds, these tall grasses. And the oak tree had a little bit of an attitude, kind of an ego. And the oak tree was saying, look at me, I'm fantastic. I've got these deep roots, this thick trunk, these massive branches. I'm awesome. I'm so strong and powerful, and you're just a bunch of puny reeds. Every time there's a gust of wind, you basically blow over and touch the ground. You're weak. But then, overnight, things changed. A huge storm rolled in. Thunder, lightning, wind, rain, the works. And the storm was so strong, it actually tore the oak tree out from the ground, snapped its trunk in half, and killed it instantly. But the reeds, on the other hand, survived. Every time there was a gust of wind, they blew over, and then in the morning, they popped right back up, just like nothing had happened. So the moral's pretty clear. It doesn't matter how big and strong you are. It doesn't matter how big your trunk is, or how many thousands of beautiful leaves you have, or how many employees your company has, or how many millions of dollars under management, or the number of degrees you have, or SHRM accreditations you have. What matters in the face of change, and what matters in the face of uncertainty, is flexibility. And that's what I teach in this workshop, and it's what I teach in all of my trainings. I do a ton of manager training, a ton of leadership training, and infused into every last bit of it, every slide, every workbook, every breakout discussion, is a little sprinkling of improvisation. That's the argument I'm going to make today. It's that this skill is absolutely essential for human resources leaders in the year 2025. It has been for decades, and we're only realizing now how much this need for change skills, how to be in the moment, be present and think on your feet, how it's essential for your work as a change leader or just as a leader or people manager in your organization. All right, so let's keep moving. And folks who are in the back, if you want to grab a seat, raise your hand if you've got an empty seat next to you. Yeah, come and grab a seat. And we are going to get up and move around too, so folks in the back, I'll find you. I'll get you going, so don't worry. Who has seen this TV show? Someone shout it out. Who's seen this? What is this show called? Whose Line Is It Anyway? Yes. If you have not seen this TV show, there are hundreds of hours of it on YouTube. Check it out. You can just search Whose Line Is It Anyway, best of. It's a phenomenal example of improv comedy. Right? Who here has ever seen an improv comedy show? Great. And who has ever done improv comedy? All right, nice, nice. We got a couple people here. By the end of today, you'll all be able to raise your hand. These are some of the funniest people in the history of the world. This is not what today is about. So I don't want to freak anyone out. I'm not going to get people up here having to, rhyme and sing like Wayne Brady or do characters like Keegan-Michael Key. That is not what we're going to get done in the next 47 minutes, okay? Plenty of great improv classes I can point you towards. We're going to distill some of the lessons of improvisation, and I'm going to serve it up to you in a nice consomme. I'm going to really stretch my, my food metaphor here so that you can take something back that's digestible and do this with your teams, right? I'm not going to have you doing characters and acting. We don't have time for that, and it's not really what's important. That's fun, but it's not really what's important for you as human resources or people leaders. Here's why we're here. 3 big takeaways. And this is a great time to say, I'll give you all these slides at the end of today. I'll put a QR code up. You can get all these slides. If you want to take pictures, just take pictures of me. Gotcha. Gotcha. You can take that one home. That's free. So 3 things we want to cover today. First thing that's fantastic from improvisation is it's a way to get comfortable with very public, very noisy, very loud failure and mistakes. We're going to start there. How do we use these tools to get a little comfortable, not just to make mistakes for mistakes' sake, that's not the point, but it's how to pick ourselves up and recover fast. That's the skill. We're going to start there. Then we're going to talk about yes-anding. Who's heard of this phrase before? Yes and. Yes. Okay, cool. A lot of hands coming up. It's very, very popular. A lot of business schools are teaching this concept. I go to business schools and teach this. It's a fantastic rule that is a great way to build and collaborate. We'll get into that in the middle. And then we're going to do some thinking on our feet. Quick thinking, how to work with the parts of our brain that sometimes censor ourselves and cause us to blank out or panic when faced with no script. Right? When we're put on the spot, when we don't know exactly what to say, when it's something new, how can we use some of the tools of improvisation to get us a little more comfortable, a little less panicked in those moments so we can be a little more comfortable and confident? How does this agenda sound? It's okay. I heard a little couple. Okay. If you're not into that agenda, I don't know what to tell you because that's what we're going to do for the next 50 minutes. So let's get started. Why improv? Why teach this in an HR conference, right? I teach this all over the world, all over the country, in lots of different industries. I love human resources professionals. 1, because you're my clients and you pay me. But 2, it's for a couple of really critical reasons. You are the ones who care about culture. When a CEO comes and wants to talk about what are our values, let's redefine them, let's get a culture initiative going. You are typically the people who run that or lead that or are the key thought leader there. And built into culture is how do people communicate with each other? How do we talk with each other in meetings? How do we write emails? How do we go back and forth on Slack? Right? These some of the fundamental building blocks of a team, how we communicate and collaborate. You are responsible for that. You are a thought leader for that. And how you program and teach and onboard people into that culture affects how we get feedback, how we generate ideas, how we deal with change, how we deal with uncertainty. If you were in that keynote this morning, a phenomenal keynote talking about dealing with change and uncertainty in this industry and in this country and in this world right now. You can almost think of this as the workshop breakout to help us practice some of the things she was talking about up there when it comes to being change leaders. And how do you help people not get so wallowing in self-pity when they make a mistake? When your CEO doesn't understand something and gets frustrated or upset, or a new manager makes a mistake and gives feedback that gets taken the wrong way, right? When we think about mistakes, how do we help people learn from them? That's where these skills come in, right? These are day-to-day, hour-to-hour, minute-to-minute skills. I'm not talking about high level in the clouds. I'm talking about you're actually talking with people. And the thing I always joke about is there's not a script on your desk at the beginning of every morning, right? You're not reading from a script when you do your job. You are already improvising. You're already using these tools. Today is really more of a tune-up. And to think about, oh, that is actually what I do already, and here's how you can take it up a level. All right. So, thinking about today as a mindset shift. Again, calling back to today's opening keynote, the circle of control. One of the critical things she talked about was mindset. She also talked about what we ate. I ate a banana 27 minutes ago. I'm ready to go. And what I'm wearing my favorite green shirt. The other thing is mindset, and today is a tool in your toolbox that you can bring with you into a meeting, into a conversation, into anything you're doing at work. Okay, another show of hands. Who loves making mistakes publicly? All right, green shirt, I love that. Fellow green shirt loves making mistakes publicly. One hand of many. What I want to do is give us our first tool, and it's a mindset shift to think about mistakes, because we all make them. We're learning a new software. We're trying to implement a new system. We're not quite getting it right. I have a 2-year-old, and he is great at making mistakes. He makes 20 mistakes a second, and I'm usually cleaning them up, right? So this is something we know as children, and we get it unlearned, how to learn through trial and error. Just like maybe some of us have learned an instrument, or learned a new language, or learned a new skill or a sport, or picked up something new. You mostly learn by being bad at it for a long time. When you're learning a new language, you speak poorly for a long time until you get used to how this language works. So we need to get back to this. We need to get back to trial and error and enjoying those mistakes as we are learning. So this will get us to our first tool. Thinking about practice, about learning, as just a series of controlled failures. And our first tool to let us celebrate that is something that I'm going to challenge us all to do at least 2 more of these throughout the rest of these 46 minutes. And it's something called a failure bow. So here's how it works. Anytime for the rest of this session, or maybe later in this conference, anytime you mess up, especially when we're going to get going and doing some improvisation, anytime you make a mistake, instead of getting nervous and wanting to curl up into a ball and leaving the room and texting your friends, I hate this conference, I want you to celebrate that mistake. I want you to stick your arms out as wide as they can go. I want you to yell as loud as you feel comfortable, I failed, and then take a big, ridiculous-looking bow, and then give yourself a round of applause. And we're all going to do that right now together, so we all get the first awkward one out of the way. All right? So pack your stuff up, because this is a good opportunity. Put your things away, because we're going to be moving around a little bit. Take a moment. Put your phone away. Put your purse down. Put it under the seat, like we're getting on a Southwest flight. All right? Get ready. So we're going to be moving around, and we're all going to take this bow. So when you got your stuff put away and tucked under the chair so you don't have any tripping, we're all going to take this bow together, all right? It's also a chance to kind of move around a little. Okay? All right. So on the count of 3, arms out, I failed as loud as you can, and big bow, and then we'll do a nice little round of applause, and we'll move on. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. I failed. Yes, big bow. Hey, give yourselves a round of applause. Excellent. Excellent, 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 excellent. Okay. Now sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. Sit down. Okay. The failure bow is what I teach. When I teach improv for improv's sake, it's day 1, minute 1. But it doesn't have to be this big, ridiculous-looking bow. It can be. I would encourage you, take this back to your teams. But it can look differently, right? You can have a virtual or a physical failure jar. Anytime someone makes a mistake or has a typo in a presentation, they have to put $1 in a jar. And then when it's filled, everyone gets breakfast burritos on a Friday. Right? You buy everyone lunch. You can do, ta-da, make it a smaller thing. I have clients who do this on Slack. They have an emoji or a GIF that is the same thing. It's them taking ownership of a mistake, owning it, laughing at themselves, and moving on. What's fun about this is it can be a little inside secret, right? One team uses an elephant, right? That's not going to get mistaken anywhere else, but other teams don't know it. That's their own little inside joke. Hey, I'm going to own that. I made a mistake. I'm acknowledging it. Or you can come up with your own. You know, I had a lot of clients during COVID do this virtually, and they had a virtual fail of the week. There were so many mistakes people were making on Zoom, trying to get documents shared, or just virtual work failures. And the way this worked the best was when the CEOs did it. Was when the senior VPs shared, you know what? I got on camera today and I had no idea my camera was on. I had a towel on my head, a towel up here, and I immediately had to turn it off, right? These silly kind of moments of humility and humbleness do wonders for your culture. Because again, what beginners need is safety when they're learning. Just like my 2-year-old needs the living room to be safe so he can run around and be a wild guy. We need to create some safety so people can make these mistakes as they're learning. Right? That's what the failure bow is about. It's a safety net. All right. When you convert shame into confidence, you become invincible. This is that magic moment that happens when I teach beginning improvisers for the stage. It usually happens in class, 3 or 4 or 5, when they start to realize that the fears they have about making mistakes on stage don't matter. Anything goes up here. Obviously, we take care of our partners. You don't say anything ridiculous, but you realize that even the mistakes become sometimes the most interesting or fantastically entertaining scenes because you're not curling up into a ball and folding every time those mistakes come. There are so many examples throughout history of fantastic inventions coming through what would have ordinarily been deemed a mistake. This is that in a nutshell. All right, let's keep moving. Earlier I asked, what is this concept of yes and? Someone who had their hand up. I saw a lot of hands up. What is this concept of yes anding? Who wants to give it a shot? Yeah.
To get rid of the word but.
To get rid of the word but. I like that. It's a substitute for but. Someone add to that. What does yes and mean? Who's heard of this before? Yeah.
It's like a continuation of build up versus stopping and saying that you can't do something. It's continue on.
It's a continuation. It's a build up. Instead of saying I stop, I can't, you kind of keep going. Brilliant. Yes and is the only rule in improvisation. So anytime anyone gets up on stage, it's really truly the only rule. And the idea is that everything that gets shared on a stage is then responded to with yes and. And what yes and really means is it's 2 parts. It's saying, yes, I'm validating your idea, and I'm going to build on it with my own idea. And when 2 or sometimes 3 or 4 people all have that mindset, every idea is valid, and then every idea is added onto, which gives the next person an opportunity to validate and build, validate and build. What's beautiful about this is basically summarized in this quote from Keith Johnstone, who's a great improv teacher. Those who say yes are rewarded by the adventures they have, and those who say no are rewarded by the safety they attain. I think this is really important. I am not arguing that every single idea someone brings to you at work, you should say, yes, let's do it. Because that would put all of us in jail. We would all be in jail by the end of the week. right? Certainly by the end of the month. That is not what I'm talking about. There are absolutely times you have to say no. We're at a human resources conference, for goodness sake, right? There are times when we say no, that is not going to be how this operates. However, what we want to think about is, what does the moment call for? Am I looking for a little adventure? Am I looking for a new idea? Am I looking for an innovative approach? Am I looking to shake things up a bit? Let's say yes and build. Do I need safety? Is someone at risk? Is a goal at risk? Do I need to say no, let's pump the brakes, I need some safety here? The challenge is, I think most people err on the side of safety more often than might be necessary. So we're going to practice this concept of yes-anding, and we're going to talk about when this might be a slightly better approach than just saying, no, I don't want to do that, right? Just like in that keynote today. No, that's the way we've always done it, right? That's a perfect example of looking for safety. So what does yes and look like in an improv show? Let's say I'm with my team. I have a team I perform with up in Northern California, in the Bay Area. So let's say my teammate comes out, her name's Sonia. She comes out and says, oh my gosh, she's starting a scene. Oh my gosh, look at this amazing cruise ship. I guess it's the HR cruise, right? Just learned about that today. Look at this amazing HR cruise ship. I can't wait for us to start our SHRM accreditation journey on the seas. I actually kind of want to do this improv show now. And then I cannot then say, what are you talking about, Sonia? That's not a cruise ship, that's a hotel. Because the problem there is, one, we're making it all up, right? There's no cruise ship, there's no hotel, but that's a no. We have to agree on the reality, otherwise the scene will go nowhere, it'll be us fighting. It will be at loggerheads. So I have to say yes, I have to validate her idea. Yes, what an amazing HR accreditation cruise ship. Let's grab our bags and get on board. Right? So I'm saying, yes, that's what's happening, and giving us the next thing to do. Right? That's good improv. Right? And again, we're not going to do scenes today, but it then gives her something to validate and build on. So you kind of build this whole world together. Someone earlier brought up the idea that it's the opposite of but. Who said that? I love that. So oftentimes we'll get a response to something that is like, yeah, that's a great idea. We could do that, but, and then comes the reason why not. Yes, but is really just a fancy way of saying no. It's just dressing it up a little bit. So in this cartoon, right, we're trying to decide where we're going to go on vacation. Ooh, what if we went to the beach? We go to the beach, it'd be fantastic. Oh yeah, the beach is great, but I heard they had sharks there. Conversation over. Right? There's no real where to go from that. Versus, okay, where should we go on vacation? Oh, let's go to the mountains. Let's go up to Lake Tahoe. Yeah, if we go to Lake Tahoe, I can bring my new skis. Great. The thing is, what trips up a lot of people about yes-anding is, well, what if I don't want to go to Lake Tahoe? What if I don't want to go skiing? I don't like skiing. Okay, relax. We're not going there yet. The key is you let the conversation go. Because what's important about yes-anding is not necessarily the second idea or the third idea. It's letting all the ideas marinate and getting to idea number 30, getting to idea number 50, getting to idea number 75. Because if you say no at the first idea that slightly icks you out, you'll never get there to idea number 75. So what you'll notice in a phenomenal improv show is two people on stage, not everything they say is hilarious. That's not the point, right? But each idea is building, and then all of a sudden, something amazing happens. And you never would have gotten there had the second idea or the third idea been critiqued. You just kind of move past that. And that's really the critical takeaway as leaders. Letting conversations flourish, creating open spaces for yes-and conversations, doing it with a time limit, which we'll talk about, and then looking back on the ideas. Which ones do we like? Which ones do we want to throw out? That's the mindset shift. Right? Giving these spaces a little place to breathe, to have that adventure, and then looking backwards on them. All right, is this making sense so far? Cool. Yes and doesn't have to just be the words yes and. It can come in lots of different packages. You can say, yes, I love that. We could also try something else. You could also say, that's interesting, tell me more about that. That's a yes and. I like that, give me a little bit more. Or let's explore it in more detail. What other ideas do we have? Or even if you're inviting some yes ands, saying, hey, here's a little delicate idea. I want you to take care of it. Don't just smash it to pieces. This isn't fully fleshed out, but here's my 2 cents. Please yes and it. Or let's see if as a group we can build on that, right? Inviting others, stating the rules of the game. We're in a moment, we're going to build, we're going to collaborate, we're going to yes and. This is not tear ideas down moment. Or, that's a good starting point, where else can we go? Where can we go from there? Again, there's a million different versions of what this looks like, but the idea is validating even some small part of the idea and then inviting additional things to add to it. This is the mindset shift. Okay. Do you want to practice? Yes. Great, we got one person. All right, so here's how we want to do this. We started right before, I did a quick count, we had about 35 people. We probably have 70 people now, which is exciting for me. So I want to do this, just kind of walk you through the logistics. I want to get a couple people up here to demonstrate an exercise, and then we're going to break out into groups, and we're all going to do this exercise by actually having a couple people go out into the hallway, and we're going to use different corners of the room. We can all do this. So this is one of my favorite ways to teach yes-anding, and it's called I'm a Tree. So to demo this, I'd love to get 4 people up on stage. Yes, 1, 2. This is easy. 3. Don't have to. You said yes, come on up here. Yeah, amazing. Round of applause for our brave volunteers. I love this. All right, so I'd like you to form a little semicircle right here in front of the TV monitor. Okay, so the way this works is when we break out into groups, you're going to form a circle. So pretend this is a circle. And this exercise loops. So one person here, I'll stand right in the middle. Okay, I'm going to snuggle right in here. One person will enter the middle of the circle, and they will say, I'm a tree. So you can kind of be a tree. Use your whole bodies. Now, someone in this circle needs to yes and my tree. So all you have to do is add something that goes with the tree. What goes with the tree?
Yes, and you have
Come in,
leaves.
come in.
Oh.
So just say, I'm a leaf.
I'm a leaf.
Perfect. What a beautiful leaf. Love it. Okay, now we need a third thing.
I'm a bunny.
Oh,
My leaves move with the wind.
okay, you're wind. Yes, I'm wind. Fantastic. So once we have 3 things, here's the tricky part. It's okay, you'll get to go again. Don't worry. Damn, I missed it. I love that. This is great. I like this group. Okay, once you have 3 people in, this is the key. The first person who was in the circle, which was me, I take one of the 2 people out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to take the wind. So we're going to exit to the edge of the circle. You're going to stay in the middle of the circle. Repeat what you are.
I'm a leaf.
And now we do it again. What goes with a leaf? Now's your chance.
I'm a tree.
Okay. I love it. What goes with a tree and a leaf?
I'm a branch.
Perfect. Okay, and then who was the first person in?
So now,
You take someone out.
come on.
Yeah. And then you're the same, so repeat what you are.
I'm a branch.
Perfect. You get the idea, right? And it just loops. Just keep going. Keep going. We're going to do this for about 8 minutes and then see where we go. What's really important as we do this, 1, be nice, be kind, be professional. I don't need to explain that to a group of HR professionals, but I have seen this go off the rails in wild ways. Be professional and have fun. And we're going to come back after 8 minutes and talk about this. So here's how I want to do this. I'm going to make you into groups. So bear with me. I'm going to send the back 3 rows out in the hall to the left. These 2 rows out in the hall to the right. These 2 rows form a circle by that corner. These 2 rows form a circle by that table with the pens. These 2 rows by the doors. You 2 with these in that corner. And then let's do you folks here. And then why don't we just split you up? You can come over that group. And then you 2 kind of join that circle over there. Whoever wants to start, someone walk in the middle of the circle and say, I'm a tree. And just start. And start. Yeah. Perfect. Who's going to start? All right, you can split up too, yeah, if you want to do 2 small groups. All right, you're a group here. Who's going to be the tree? Come in the middle and start. Perfect. Yeah. And you good, yeah, sure. Perfect, perfect. Yeah, and you stay the same. Repeat what you are so we remember. Perfect. Claritin. Perfect. It's great. And be loud, because it's getting loud in here.
She's paprika.
Paprika, nice. Take the squirrel. Okay, cool. What goes to the trunk? Nice. A fork and a spork? I'm the plastic wrapper and the go.
How to take the wrapper out?
Okay, yeah. Two more minutes. 2 more minutes. Two more minutes. 2 more minutes. Two more minutes. 2 minutes. Sorry, come right through here. Ooh. All right. Scoot by here. Oh, nice.
There we go. We get a cocktail swim.
I love it. Yeah. Okay, what are you? You're a cocktail. Okay, this is great. This is our last round. For this one, everyone's going to add one thing in, and once you're all in, just come back and you'll be done. All right. The valley.
Valley.
Okay, I'm going to pause us. This will be the last round. For this one, everyone's going to add one thing, and once you're all in, you're done. You can come in and join us, starting with the valley. Okay, what are you? Okay, this is the last round. For this one, everyone's going to add one thing in, and once you're all in, you'll be done, and we'll come and join. Cool. Okay, let me pause this. This last round, everyone's going to add one thing in, and once you're all in, we'll be done. Okay. Wait, I'm going to pause this. This is the last round. For this one, everyone's going to add something in, and once you're all in, we'll be done. We'll grab a seat. Okay? Okay, let me pause this. Where are we here? Oh, this is the last round.
Okay.
So once everyone's going to add something into this, and once everyone's in, we'll be done. We'll grab a seat. Okay? Wait, I'm going to pause us. This is the last round. So for this one, everyone adds something in. And once you're all in, we're done. You grab a seat. Okay. We're done. Yeah, we grab a seat. All right, we got one last group finishing up, and we'll get started in 10 seconds. Have a seat, everyone. Let's talk about what just happened. I got my energy out. I love that. How was that? It was fun, right? We all did it. You're all now improvisers. You've done it. You're officially licensed improvisers. Right? If I could pin a badge to all of you. Yeah, give yourselves a round of applause. That's it. That's improv. So you've all done it. The only thing that's different between that and an improv show is you kind of flesh those scenes out a little bit. You add some characters. You add some dialogue. But at its core, it's just that game. Someone has an idea. Someone builds off that idea, and you go to some wild places. Show of hands, was there at any point in that exercise where you were certain someone was going to add an idea that you had in your head, and then they completely came out of left field with something totally different? Yeah. And what's that feeling like in that moment? It's fun. It's delightful, right? That's that magic in improvisation, that completely unexpected idea that perfectly fits the context. That's where yes-anding becomes addictive, honestly. That's why people love doing this as a performance art. Or, more to the point, why that feeling is so critical as a leader, right? When you can generate that spark, it fills you up, right? It's such a feeling of being seen. It's a feeling of collaboration, of teamwork, of camaraderie. And what's so fun about that exercise we just did is everyone had a hand in getting to where you got. You could not disentangle one person's contribution from someone else, because without the squirrel and the steamboat and the roller coaster, right, we never would have gotten to idea number 100. And so a couple key things here. I'm a consultant, so I have to put a 2x2 matrix in every presentation. It's a requirement. So I got to break down what just happened in kind of a less exciting way. What we just experienced was the value of yes-anding, right? That feeling of flow, of energy, of adventure, of new ideas. And I really want to underline this idea of inclusion. Was there any moment where you were standing in the circle by yourself, waiting for someone to add an idea? Probably, yeah, I saw it, right? It's normal. What happened when that next person came in and added something to your idea? What was it? Relief. Yell that out again.
Relief.
Yes, relief, right? That feeling of someone coming in and saying, you know what? Your idea makes sense, and here's how it makes sense. Being the first person to yes-and an idea is such a powerful thing. Think about all the context for that. You know, someone who shares an idea in a meeting, when their manager or their senior leader comes in and says, yes, that's interesting, what else can we do along those lines? Think of how that feels to that person. That's yes-anding, right? We're not having a silly, fun time playing I'm a tree, but it's still yes-anding. It's telling your idea is valid, and it's so valid, I'm actually going to add my idea on top of it to make it stronger. That's where this becomes a mindset shift that can easily penetrate a whole culture. It's really important to pay attention to those moments. Again, I talked about the value of saying no, right? There are times to say no, especially even in a fun improv game, right? You avoid risk, you avoid something uncertain. It saves time, right? You wouldn't necessarily go on digressions. So again, there are times where you have to say, we don't have time to play I'm a Tree, right? We have to get something out the door by 3 p.m. I'm just going to decide. And that's fine, right? That's reality. But we don't always have time for this huge meandering conversation that ends with a, I could keep coming back to the HR cruise. That idea is not going to leave my brain. I was texting my wife about it. I was like, there's an HR cruise. It's a cruise, but it's just HR. Yeah, it's too much. Okay. But of course, a couple things to pay attention to. What we just did, that game, super fun, really simple game. I had my timer. We did that for 5 minutes, okay? Super concentrated. If I had let that go on for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you all would have been looking at me like, what's this guy's deal? Are we going to do anything else? There's a real value to time constraints and short spurts of energy like that. Because you could do that for 4 minutes. It's delightful. But when it goes on and on, we've all been in that brainstorm that's a 90-minute block on our calendars where it's 2 people talking and 10 people sitting on their laptops going, why am I here? Why am I here, right? So being really aware that this works best in small spurts. The other thing is you don't get to decide where that exercise goes. So even if it's going in a direction where you're like, this is not funny, this is not interesting to me, you can't really stop that train. You have to let go of control. And that can be really hard, right? That can be really hard. So remembering that there's a time and a place, right? That can be a cost of truly being collaborative, like 100% pure collaboration. You don't get to decide even though your title says senior director. This is up to the group. So again, there's costs. That's a real cost. But again, saying no feels exclusive. If someone were to say no, that's a bad idea in that exercise, that person does not want to participate anymore, right? Just like the person who shares an idea in a meeting and gets immediately shot down, that person is not raising their hand again that day, for sure. So again, thinking about what I'm trying to do with this 2x2 matrix is to just demystify the dynamic that occurs in almost every single meeting you're in. People participating in one of these 4 quadrants and then either getting that cost or getting that benefit in real time. When you start to see your collaboration through this lens, you really start to see who's really good at this, who's naturally good at this, and maybe who tends towards one of those cost quadrants and feels more comfortable there. Again, there could be many reasons why. We don't have time to cover all of it, but that's how this fits in. Okay, any questions on this concept of yes-anding before we do our final thing? Making sense? And I'll have time for questions at the end too if you want to come up. The last thing I want to do, we have about 15 minutes left, which is perfect. I want to talk about this idea of thinking on our feet. So remember, that third part of our agenda today is how to be a little more comfortable thinking on our feet when we don't exactly know what's coming next, right? We just did a little of that in the I'm a Tree exercise. But the big idea here is when you're put on the spot, right? You're called on, you were texting, and then the CEO asks you, what are your thoughts on this? Don't try to hit a home run, right? And for non-sports fans, don't try to answer the whole thing all at once. Just try to take one baby step forward. So move an idea one step forward and then hand it off to someone else. Now, I'm going to show that through an exercise in a moment, but the idea is you don't want to feel like you have to go on this 3-minute monologue when you're put on the spot. Share a little bit, then bounce it to someone else, then take the microphone back and continue that thought. That's like in an improv show, one person's not just talking for 5 minutes. They're sharing a little bit, passing it to the next person, they're passing it to another person, and then it comes back to you because by then you've had a chance to reset and go, ooh, I'm going to build off of that. I'm going to build off of that. Short little bites. Now, to demonstrate this, I want to do our final exercise. This is not going to be a chaotic one where 100 people go into the hallways and freak out the organizers. I would like to have 4 volunteers come up front, 4 brave volunteers who want to do a demo in front of us. Again, you don't have to prepare anything. It's an improv It's an improv workshop. And if you're nervous, I want you up here. Yes, you come up here. Round of applause for our brave volunteers. I haven't even explained the exercise. We need 3 more people. You got to volunteer yourself. I'm going to bring you up if you're volunteering your friend. Yeah, you're just coming up again. Perfect. Excellent. Who else wants to try? Maybe the friend. Yeah? This is an easy one. You're going to do great. We need 2 more people. My flight's not till 4, so I'll just hang out up here. Yeah, perfect. Yes, we got lunch after this. Have some iced tea. We'll kick back. All right, we need 1 more person. Yes, brilliant. Round of applause for our brave volunteers. All right, so this exercise, I'm going to put you all right here in front of the screen. I'm going to back up just so you're lit up so everyone can see your wonderful faces. Okay, here's how this is going to work. These 4 people are now going to be an expert that we get to ask questions about their expertise. Now, I'm going to explain how you'll answer questions in just a moment. You can probably guess looking at the slide. But before we do that, I want to ask the audience, what are these 4 wonderful people going to be an expert in? And it can be anything. It doesn't have to just be HR. What do you want to ask them questions about? Yeah. Inflatables. Okay. I like that. Yeah. Biking?
No, baking.
Baking. Okay, inflatables or baking? Kind of 2 ends of the spectrum there. What do you want to be an expert in? Baking might be easier. You say that now. Okay, baking. Perfect. Okay, so you 4 are an expert in baking. Here's how this is going to work. I'm going to solicit some questions from the audience about baking, and then the 4 of you are going to answer, but you can only answer together 1 word at a time. Period. Someone has to end the sentence. Otherwise, this goes on and on. Does that make sense? You're a 4-headed expert, but you can only answer 1 word at a time. Just do 1 sentence at a time. We'll keep it simple. Okay. The key here is don't try to do it all. Do the next most obvious thing. Sometimes the next most obvious word is just and or the. And then together, you'll make a phenomenal sentence. Cool? You're going to do great. All right, we have a question on baking.
How do you soften your butter?
I love it. How do you soften your butter? We're going to start here and go this way.
All right.
Really? Wow. Take the
Time.
2. Pull the
Heat.
period.
Nice. Oh, they pool that heat. That is the way to do it. I love it. Brilliant job. Nice and easy. What other questions do we have about baking? What do we want to know about baking? Yeah, okay, right in front.
How many chocolate chips should be in each cookie?
How many chocolate chips in each cookie? Oh, I love that. I'm going to bring this mic up. How many chocolate chips in each cookie?
All right. Experts.
Believe. 20 is
The.
key. Period.
Nice. That is true. Okay, let's get a tricky one. Let's get a real tricky one. Yes.
I'm having trouble with my cake's not rising enough. Do you have any advice on getting a good rise in my cake?
Ooh, okay, we're going to start here and go this way. Get a good rise on our cake.
Is yeast and
Time.
Nice. Amazing. Okay, let's do 1 more question. What do we want to end on? Maybe one from the back. What kind of questions do we have about baking? Yes. How do you make banana bread? Okay, we'll start down there and go that way.
okay. Take bananas and
Flour.
bake magic
Into.
a pan. Period.
Yes! Amazing. Take a big, big bow. Round of applause again for our brave volunteers. You can grab a seat. Amazing. Oh, brilliant. That was brilliant. Okay, So, where are our volunteers? How was that? How was that being up there?
It was fun.
It was fun. Yeah. What was fun?
Makes you on your toes. Like makes you like when I got it, oh yeah, I got this one. Let's do the next one, the next one, the next one.
Yeah, you're on your toes. You're kind of, your adrenaline's going a little bit. Yeah, how was it for you?
It's cool because you trust your people around you. So that was.
Trusting your people, one of the critical things. How was it for you up there?
It was less stress because it wasn't all the weight wasn't on me. I got to kind of spread that with my team.
Yeah. The number one, I guess 1B rule, number one is yes and. Number two is make your teammates look good. Make your teammates look good. The best improvisers in the world will go into a show, and sometimes their favorite shows are not the one where they got the big laugh. They're not the one where they got to play the ridiculous character. They're the one where they're setting everyone else up to look fantastic, to look clever, to look hilarious, to look smart. That's what a great improviser does. If you're a basketball fan, it's the point guard who loves giving assists to all their best shooters and scorers, right? That's what they're doing. Make your teammates look good. And in this exercise, I've done it hundreds of times with groups that have never done improv before, and it always goes well when they have that mindset. When you have the mindset that, ooh, I'm going to say the ridiculous verb or the outrageous adverb, what that does is it kind of throws your teammates for a loop. Right? You're trying to take the credit for yourself. You're trying to have that fantastic, funny word. But again, sometimes what the sentence calls for is and, or the, or because, or sometimes someone just has to say period. It's not the most exciting word, but it makes the whole thing fun. It makes the whole thing work. So again, this is a demonstration of just do the next most obvious thing, and that's how you be a great collaborator in this mindset. Right? So when we're thinking about what's the big idea, right? We're not going to do improv shows at our jobs, right? But we're going to think about this as a leadership communication skill. In these moments where you're put on the spot, where you are in a situation where you don't necessarily have a prepared answer, what can you do to do the next most obvious thing? Your internal censor, the little voice inside of your head saying, no, that's not good enough. That's not helpful enough. That's not smart enough. That's the voice you have to tackle and say, I'm just going to do the next most obvious thing and trust that it'll come back to me and I'll continue to build. Now, this doesn't always work in an adversarial environment, right? You'll soon know who are the teammates you can rely on to help make you look good. But when put on the spot, sometimes the best thing is just to say, what do you think? Or add, well, that's a good idea. Let me come back to you on that. Right? You do not have to do it all yourself. And in fact, that is not what good improvisers do. They pass the ball. So again, let go of the need to have everything in a row. This is especially true. I do a lot of workshops on change. I do a lot of workshops on helping people through the emotions of change. Sometimes when you're leading a change initiative, there's an end state, there's a vision, but getting people to focus on what is the next most obvious thing you have to do. The next most obvious thing you have to do is log into the system with your credentials and make sure you can get in, right? Don't worry about steps 35. Do step 2, and we'll get there together. So, to rein it back in, we've got about 5 minutes left. I want to recap what we came here to do and then take some questions. We talked about the fear of failure. Remember our failure bow. My challenge to all of you is take that with you. Do a failure bow in the middle of the next keynote tomorrow. Don't do that. But do it in your head. Give yourself a break. Let go of the need to be perfect all the time. Let it go and move on. That's the mindset shift of improv, where you're remembering that to learn something new, you've got to make a ton of mistakes before you get good at it. Making the mistakes is the point. Wallowing in the mistakes, not helpful. Yes-anding. We talked about validating and building. We all did that yes-and exercise. Everyone was able to do it. Everyone did it. I saw with my own 2 eyes. No one fell down on the ground convulsing and saying, I can't do it anymore, right? You're capable of this. Now the question is, how can you bring that energy to both create new ideas and, more importantly sometimes, include people? Yes, and the quiet person's ideas. Yes, and the new hire's ideas publicly in front of senior leadership. Show them that you're validating and building off their idea. That person will be so excited to continue to contribute. That's the magic there. Not just brainstorming, not just wild ideas. Individual inclusion. That's yes-anding, really at its best. And then thinking on your feet. Rely on your teammates. Just move it one step forward. Talk to that little voice in your head that says that's not good enough and say, you know what it is? It's the next most obvious thing. I'm going to go with it and put it out into the world. Then you get real comfortable thinking on your feet. Okay, so 2 last things. If you want the slides, please give me a little feedback. I thrive on feedback. So I want to give you a moment. There's a QR code. You'll get the slides at the end of it. Really, really helpful. You can open that up. Quick little feedback comment, and then I want to close out with final thoughts and questions. You get all the slides, and also if you want to contact me about other things, I'll leave that up for just a moment. I won't get in the way of this photo. Yeah, if it doesn't work, you can come find me. All right, and I'll put this up again at the end after the closing. So yeah, keep those phones out. If you liked what we did today, please contact me. I offer anyone who comes to one of my talks a 30-minute free coaching. Right? I have so many exercises along these veins, but I also, mostly what I do is train managers. So I develop and lead manager training programs all across the country for all sorts of different organizations. So if you're looking for training in this vein on core skills like coaching and feedback and public speaking, that's what we do. And it's all about building safety. How do you get people feeling comfortable and confident learning new skills, especially people who've never managed other people before? Creating an environment like this where we can practice in real time, that's what I love to do. So please come talk to me if you want to bring that to your teams or to an offsite. This is what I do every day, so I love it. And it's all about building culture. Again, back to your role as people leaders, as HR leaders. People look to you, especially when you're hiring and onboarding. How do you teach people, and how do you show them what it means to be on a team? This is how we do it. We practice it, we experience it, we learn it together. So with that, I want to say thank you and enjoy the rest of the conference. And I'll stick around afterwards if you want to chat, and I'll put the slide up if you want to get the slides.
Thank you.